Suicide is actually very prevalent in the population as a whole. And certainly within the child and adolescent population, it is one of the major reasons why our children die, actually. Depending on what age group you're talking about, it ranks either second or third in terms of mortality. And with COVID, we've actually seen an increase, certainly in suicidal ideation, which is children, teenagers having thoughts of harm, and suicide gestures, which is somebody acting out but not having a complete suicide. There seems to be a difference in terms of who's more at risk. Teenage girls seem to be more at risk than teenage boys in terms of suicidal ideation and actual suicide attempts. Teenage boys, unfortunately, have a completed suicide more often than girls. So it's one that cuts across gender. Certainly is something that's very prevalent with our youth. Some of the basic things that people think about, obviously, any child or teenager that is experiencing something like anxiety or depression or another mental health disorder, even attention deficit disorder, there can be a higher risk. Children and youth that are isolated, you know, that are more withdrawn and cut off, you know, from family, from peers. That's both a symptom and also a warning sign. You know, a child maybe who is very social kind of pulling back in some way. Children and teenagers that don't have a strong adult presence in their life, be that parents or grandparents, extended family. Children who have poor coping and problem-solving skills oftentimes are at higher risk. They don't know what to do. You know, you feel bad. And certainly any time a child is engaging in substance use is another red flag. You know, again, both as a symptom but also as a warning sign. Our LGBTQ kids and teenagers are at very high risk. They're at higher risk of depression and anxiety, and certainly that can translate into suicidal ideation and suicidal behavior. Anytime you see a change in a child's behavior, you know, if you get their mood or their actual behavior, it can be a red flag, not just of suicide, but maybe that something from a mental health standpoint is going on. You know, maybe developing a depression or anxiety or some other kind of an issue. It is okay to talk about these things. It is okay to go to your child and say, hey, I see you've been struggling. You know, let's talk about that. It is okay to say the word depression. It is okay to say the word suicide. If they are having suicidal thoughts or you know, having those feelings of hopelessness, you may be actually opening up the conversation by saying those words. If you are concerned that a child is struggling, really developing some significant depression, and certainly if you're concerned about suicide, there are some resources. You know, the new 988 number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is one resource. A more local resource here at Children's is the PERC. Anybody can call the PERC. It's not a crisis hotline, but it's a resource where folks can call, have a discussion, and get some guidance about what to do next. Another good resource is always your pediatrician. They're going to know your child the best after you as a parent, and they're going to know what the local resources are. And if you're tied into a mental health professional, if you already are working with a psychologist or a counselor or a psychiatrist, certainly talking to those individuals anytime. If an adult is concerned that a child is imminently suicidal, they are demonstrating behavior that is very concerning to them, that they are really afraid that a child is at risk, 911, getting that child to your local emergency department. But the main thing is, be vigilant. If you see a child struggling, ask those questions and let's be more proactive in getting them the help that